Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about ocean pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. Hi, I am Tony Russo, your host, and our guests this week are Liz Wist and Ellen Turnbaugh of Maryland Coastal Bays. They're here to talk about their upcoming event, Bay Day, which is actually an Ocean Pines event. Ocean Pines conceived of the partnership anyway, and together with the Maryland Coastal Bays, they run this annual event, which has grown to see as many as 1,500 or more people come. Anyway, it's a great event to get ready for the summertime, and I'm going to let them tell you all about it. So stay on till the end, but now here are Liz and Ellen. So glad to have you guys back. It's been just a couple of months, maybe, right? 3 or 4 months since we spoke last, but last time was more rushed. This time, not only do we have more time, but we have some very specific things to talk about. So let's start with getting you guys to introduce yourselves so everybody knows whose voice is coming from whom.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us. I'm Liz Wist, and I'm the education coordinator at the Maryland Coastal Bays program.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. I'm Ellen Turnbaugh. I'm the education program manager at Maryland Coastal Bays program.
Fantastic. And you're here today to talk about?
We are here to talk about our 7th annual Bay Day event. It's a larger scale environmental festival that's free to the public, and that's coming up on May 17th.
Right. I wanted to make sure we got that right, because if we bore people in 10 minutes, at least they have the date. But let's try not to bore them. What do you say?
Yeah, let's pencil it in. May 17th, everybody, 10 to 2.
Before we get into kind of the specifics of it, I'd like to talk to you guys about why and when you not moved to Ocean Pines, but this is the one big event that you guys have each year, and you guys are an older organization. So talk about the decision to start having Bay Day in Ocean Pines and the reasons behind it and how it's gone, in the first year and beyond.
Sure. And Tony, we can talk about when I moved to Ocean Pines if you want. I moved when I was 1, and I've been here for 35 years. But no, we were actually approached. So yeah, Maryland Coastal Bays program has been around. This is our 30th anniversary, which is very exciting this year. But we were approached actually by Ocean Pines in early 2017 about holding an environmental event. It was not something that they currently did. And a couple different clubs at Ocean Pines at the time and the Rec and Parks Department came together with some of our staff members to just brainstorm what we could do collaboratively. And a big reason for that was, and still is that the health of our St. Martin River that a lot of Ocean Pines is situated on is one of our more unhealthy waterways in the Coastal Bays watershed. The association wanted to bring light to resources and tools that property owners and the community as a whole could have right here in this area to help better that health of that waterway. And out of that big brainstorm meeting, Bay Day was birthed.
So let's talk about the St. Martin River real quick. So what are some of the contributing factors? What are some of the things? I know the oyster program which we talked about last time. That's big for the St. Martin River, right?
Yeah, the protectors of the St. Martin and Coastal Bays have an oyster gardening program that's growing all the time. We actually just did a cage building project at our office with the St. Martin protectors of the St. Martin River. But yeah, the oysters, of course, as we know, can help clean our waterways. But the St. Martin River, there's a number of factors that contribute to it. It's a more populated area, so there's a lot of development right that abuts straight up to the waterway. Mm-hmm. So there might not be as many, let's say, living shorelines or buffer zones available to help filter things coming off of our land directly to our water. So not much time for things to settle out. So
that was so generously put. It's like you're a professional.
Yeah, I might have said this a few times before, but But yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Well,
We always,
some of
it's
the
not
other
about pointing
tactics.
fingers, but rather finding the solutions is like we always like
Absolutely.
to
No,
say.
very
So
well done.
community
Uh,
effort, sometimes it's just the unknowing of like maybe what we're doing to our lawns or things that could be coming in from other states. So obviously we butt up right up to Delaware. So the St. Martin River, the tributaries extend up there too. So sometimes it's out of our hands what's happening to our waterway. There's not as much flushing. It's farthest away from our inlet. So there's a number of factors, but there's always things that we can work to improve. And our community changes too. So it's important that we continue to hold this event every year so that everybody can see new resources available, or there might be new issues that have different solutions attached to them.
And I don't want to harp on this, but I'm
I agree.
genuinely interested, and I hope that some listeners are as well. Are there plantings that people could do at the edge? Like, I don't know, bushes? What was something that you could, can you build your own buffer if that was something that you were interested in and you abutted the water?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it could be as simple as getting a couple like native shrubs or plants just as like a stepping stone for people to do, especially those that, as we know, like sometimes the grass goes right to the bulkhead and then it's the bay for anybody who lives upon the water. So that would be extremely helpful. Not everybody uses fertilizer, but some people do, depending on how we like our backyard looking. I know a lot of people like that bright grass. And so that could be very helpful. You can make those buffer zones look beautiful. It could be flowering native plants, but anything with a root system beyond grass can be extremely helpful to both hold that land in place, but also they extract nutrients from the soil. So anything that's put onto the grass, those plants can maybe actually uptake before it enters directly in our waterway. Another easy solution too is just looking at the weather. If you are going to add something that helps your grass grow or plants grow, is just looking to see if maybe it's not going to rain the next day.
And we just got clobbered last night as we record this. It's April 2nd, and we got a heck of a storm last night.
We sure did. That was way more intense than I expected.
I know, and it's funny because it was after a beautiful day, so you can imagine everybody's like, I'm going to go take care of my lawn, and then pow, pow, pow.
All the lawnmowers are outside still, and the weed whackers, and it starts downpouring. Yeah.
My wife actually said to me this morning, I don't know if I'm going to be able to start. She's in charge of mowing the grass because she's an independent woman, and I'm lazy.
I like that.
So she was just saying that, the rain, she was like, I think that was outside last night. I'm sorry. And so setting aside the St. Martin River, which I just obsess about, talk about the working with Ocean Pines to plan the first year. And then what did you learn in that first year, and how has the program changed over the last 7 years?
Yeah, absolutely. That first year was ironically my first year of working at Coastal Bays. I grew up in this area and I had moved back. And so I loved that there was already this idea in place to hold a large scale outreach event. What that looked like, of course, we knew that like all of our work, we lean into our partners. So even though we say that we help to organize that event, that the best part of the event are the other people there, we can't do everything, but we can help weave people together. So the more diverse groups that we bring, it's going to cater to more people, if that makes sense. So some might lean into pollination. Others might lean into like at-home resources for in the home. Others might lean into food or maybe volunteerism. Some might be like we have Baywater Landing and Marina come and they talk about themselves as like a resource for the community for people to come to, but also as an aquaculture site. So they're selling crabs and oysters and bay scallops. So that first year, we knew that we would need to extend this opportunity out to partners. We could never have every table ourselves. And we also thought it would be a great opportunity. There is so much water around us. And if we're looking at our whole county, not everybody always has that opportunity to get out there. And what a beautiful thing it is. We wanted to make sure that providing free boat rides to our community members was a big part of the event. So we continue to do that to this day. And we've shifted through the years. We now work with the Bay Hopper. So we actually have multiple boats down there giving rides about every 15 or 20 minutes. So it's not like we fill one boat and it's out for 40 minutes. Right. It's on like a cyclic basis. So that's really fun. If people head down to the docks at the boat ramp right behind Whitehorse Park, they're going to be able to jump on a boat ride. And then through the years, big learning things that we've had is like we've always had like one food truck, but people love eating. If you want to keep people at an event, you want some food and some drinks. So we have that still to this day, but we've bolstered it. We've also added more hands-on components. And then we've also started to lean more into young learners. A lot of people, grandparents, guardians, parents are bringing their kids, grandkids, neighbors down to this event. So we want something for everybody. That's what we say at this event. There is something for everybody, and we want them to stay all day. So what can we do to formulate a meaningful event that reaches all of that and checks that box? So every year we reanalyze what worked, what needs to be tweaked a little bit, and then we add on some components as we hear feedback from our community about what they want to see.
You mentioned hands-on. Can you talk about some of the hands-on projects that are available there?
Absolutely. So one of the components of Bay Day is what we call the exploration station. So this happens inside the pavilion at Whitehorse Park. And that is an area for people to learn about different projects that Maryland Coastal Bays program is doing and do different hands-on components. So we have crafts for young learners so they can begin to investigate different aspects. So we have had nature journaling one so they can really get outside and become observant in their surrounding communities. We have native plant giveaways for attendees that come through, and we do different varieties based on shade-knitted yards or drought-tolerant species. And then we have engineering challenges to get people thinking and learning more about the restoration type projects that we do. So people can learn about horseshoe crabs, they can learn about terrapins and oysters and the common terns that we have here in our area.
Yeah, and we also kind of have that as a criteria, even though we give autonomy to our exhibitors to design whatever they want for their table. The one thing we heavily encourage is that they do have a hands-on component. So they're not just handing out informational pamphlets. We want them to really be engaging. But we always say that hands-on component, it could be reaching adult learners. So we've done it where we've built oyster cages on site. We've built bird homes or feeders right there with people alongside of them so they get to build it themselves and leave with it that day. But each of our exhibitors will have something that people can participate in or get hands-on with that pertain to their own mission. And that's a really helpful one too, is that it's not always just on Ocean Pines and Coastal Bays, is that all of our wonderful partners bring something. There's art-based organizations there that work with the environment. So Ocean City Art League will be in attendance, and they usually do a really great one. They did a plastic non-recyclable container, like upcycled art project a couple of years ago. So there's, again, a little something for everybody.
In addition to this, the point is this is as much to raise funds as it is to raise awareness, right?
No, I appreciate you saying that. Actually, it's not really for us to raise funds at all. It's something, if a volunteer comes out of it or a donor, that's great. But actually, we want to make sure that this is a free event that doesn't lean into the collection of money. So we want people to come and not feel as though that has to be something that makes them uncomfortable or a barrier. So this is not a fundraising event. This is free. We want people to come learn. We want them to see the resources, and we want them to leave with tools to make a difference in their own backyard and community.
That's absolutely fantastic. And this is funded by your current donors, I guess.
No, that's a great question, too. That's the beautiful thing with the Ocean Pines coming forward to us with an event. So this is actually an Ocean Pines funded event. So we have to shout out Ocean Pines administration, specifically the Rec and Parks Department, has really we've worked with Debbie for all 7 years of this project. And they are wonderful because it's not only the majority of the funding for this, but it's things from the stage for the band that's going to be there and the pavilion and electricity, and the site itself is invaluable. So parking, all of that is brought to you by Ocean Pines. And then between our staff time, and then we kind of facilitate the event. So recruitment of all the exhibitors, our volunteers, we need more. So if anybody wants to volunteer, please let us know. But we organize the event, and then they help kind of fund it and support all the logistical kind of backside line items that we have.
And now when you say that you're always happy to have volunteers, what does it take to become a Maryland Coastal Bays volunteers? What kind of, is there a commitment? I mean, of course there should be a commitment if you're a volunteer. I didn't mean it that way.
No, that's
but
right.
Is there like a class you have to go every Wednesday for 6 weeks or something to become an official volunteer or something like that?
Yeah, there's not. What we've learned through the years is that there's so many different volunteers that want to be there for certain events. There's things we have to lean into what they're good at, what they're passionate for. Some people, we also have to realize that they can't go out in the middle of a marsh and help with a planting or do an invasive species removal. Or they may be more limited in different ways. So an event like this, for example, is wonderful because people can be stationary at a table interacting with the public and not have to be moving around, doing any sort of labor-based activities. So at Coastal Bays, We've got a lot of community science, which I think if everybody listened to the previous podcast, they probably talked about our water quality volunteers and our horseshoe crab volunteers and our oyster volunteers. We've got a big array of different types of volunteers, whether it's in-person events or things they can do by themselves. For this event specifically, it is a lot of repeat volunteers, which is wonderful. And it's really fun because we get a lot of the Ocean Pines community itself who they want to work the event and see their community and interact with them. So these positions that we have for volunteers at this specific event are just more of about chatting with the public, telling them about their station. A lot of them are housed in our exploration stations. So they might be working our diamondback terrapin table. And then they can inform the public all about the programs we work with surrounding diamondback terrapins and their significance to our waterways and everything like that.
And we try to pair, even with the Bay Day volunteers, pair their interest and their knowledge to the tabling that they go to. So with our repeat volunteers, some have preferences on areas that they've loved being in past. And then we try to pair with people who might need to be more stationary or ones who want to be more mobile. So that way our volunteers can have the best experience as well.
Now, you mentioned this will be out on April 10th. If someone wants to volunteer for this event, is that too late, or can they reach out to you to find a way to still help? Are you all full? Do you have all the volunteers you need for this upcoming event?
No, we are still looking for volunteers. Our flyers you'll see all over. They'll have them here in Ocean Pines. They have them available, and they're going to be all over at the libraries. You can also just go on the Maryland Coastal Bays website at mdcoastalbays.org underneath events, and the whole Bay Day one's on there. And I believe my email is right on there, but there'll be a way to contact. So we do have a volunteer form out there floating in the universe. It's part of our newsletter, but there's ways to find it right online, or they can just call our office and I will give them a call back. So if someone is not online as much and they just want to say, hey, I'd love to volunteer for that 4-hour event, we still have positions available.
Now, you mentioned, and I'm so sorry it slipped my mind, the boating group that helps you out.
Yeah, the Bay Hopper boat cruises. So I know they work with Ocean Pines. I think they go to the yacht club. They kind of work as a water taxi, but they love educational events, which we really appreciate them for. So their captains are phenomenal, and we get all 3 of their boats that can fit about 15 to 17 people, and they're going to be here for all 4 hours giving free boat tours.
Oh, that is fantastic. And you undermined my question, but I'm glad that you did. I was under the impression that was a volunteer group, but that's a company that's donating their time.
Yeah, so it's a company. We do pay, of course, their captains. We want them, to be able to pay their fuel costs. But yeah, they're here. So they reserve that whole day for the people who come into this Bay Day event. We get everybody out on the water. There's life jackets available for those that want them. We actually have a guide on each boat. So it's not just even a cruise of the bays, but people get to learn when they're out there.
The boats will be running from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Correct.
Yeah, and I guess that if you're a member of a club, like if enough members... If you're all members of an environmental club, you probably might independently. You don't have to do it as a group to all separately volunteer for the event.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we'll have people reach out that we know. Let's say they sit on the Worcester County Garden Club, but they're just looking to volunteer. We could place them at the native plant giveaway station where there's such a wealth of knowledge themselves that they can provide their own expertise. And then the plants are right there where everybody gets to leave with a plant that day.
Hey folks, Tony Russo here from the Pines Cast. I'd just like to take a second to let you know that we are accepting sponsorships as we get ready to enter our 3rd year of doing this show. It has been an absolute pleasure to see it grow as much as it has. Our first episode came out on May 7th, 2024. It was with Bob Beckelman. And since then, we've had more guests and more listeners and more fun stuff to talk about every week. What makes this sponsorship opportunity so particular is that as summer comes on, our readership always gets a bump in May, June, July, and it stays that way. We retain listeners week after week and year after year. More important, podcast listeners have a higher attention span and conversion rate than any other medium. And those are from studies that have been done independently for the last 2 years. People listen to podcasts because they want to pay attention and they want to stay engaged. So it's a great place to put a permanent message. It is great for brand building if you're trying to build your brand. This is a fantastic way to do it. Anyway, If you're interested in sponsoring, please reach out to us at info@oceanpines.org, and we'll get back to you and arrange for the sponsorship. But now, let's get back to the show. Is there something that you're doing this year that you've never done before, or something that you're not doing because you don't do it anymore? Like, what are the big changes over the course of 7 years, if there are any?
Yeah, I'm going to toss this over to Ellen. There's a couple things that we've tweaked through the years that maybe didn't work based on who came, or it just wasn't as popular of a hit. Like we had a little speaker series one year that like a couple people trickled over to, but we really realized people are there to like spend the day with their family. They're just enjoying themselves at this event. So what can we just have that is there in place for them to take that opportunity? So we have a couple things I'll have Ellen talk about now, which are great, that one we did last year, and then we have a new one coming in this year.
So we are always thinking of ways to expand on what works really well. And one of our biggest takeaways is that the partners and our exhibitors bring life to this event. And so we want to get as many people out to their tables as possible. So we have a passport book that participants, many are youth, but it's open to any participant can go through. And as they talk to the exhibitors, they get a stamp. And so last year, we had the youth be entered into a raffle to receive a Young Explorers package. And then we also incorporated a scavenger hunt within that. And that was a really big hit. A lot of people loved partaking in that. So this year we are expanding that to create an adult-centered challenge where they can be entered into receive something that would help more of an adult-based exploration within the environment. So we're really excited on that. And then one thing that we are going to be piloting this year is a community stewardship activity. And we are thinking it's going to have an art-based component. So we'll have more details about that come out in the coming weeks. But we're really excited to pilot that initiative.
Yeah, and what that means is like when people come to the event, they're actually going to engage in something at the event that everybody in attendance can contribute to. And then that'll be used in some sort of way, either on display somewhere, or we'll bring it back each year and everybody will continue to add to that element.
That is super, super cool. And along the lines of bringing out more people, have you seen attendance increase? Has it been pretty much the same every year? I guess having it in Ocean Pines, you do have a built-in audience that will come out as long as it's not pouring.
We do, and that's like a big perk of why we really, really love having it here. There's things in place when you hold big events that are convenient to have, such as parking and bathrooms and an expansive space that's surrounded by a fence that's safe. There's all these elements here already, which is why we particularly really love Whitehorse Park. So we did 2 years of Bay Day before the pandemic hit. And so that kind of tweaked things. We weren't sure. We didn't run it in 2020 and 2021. And then it's been back for about 4 years. So every year, it's super hard to clock every person. We have a little counter at the front. And then some of our exhibitors, we get numbers. They have to reach numbers. So they actually count people that interact with their table. So we always estimate the numbers are somewhere between about 1,000 to 1,500.
Wow.
The more we can spread just the word about this event, as we all know, listening to this podcast, there's people that come and move to this area. There's people that move away. There's people that start families. So our community is ever evolving. So the more we can get the word out, the better. Because in 2 years, our community that comes to this event might dramatically change. But we do hear now if we say, hey, our Bay Day event's coming up. So many people, if we're in a room with 20 people, there's a few people that are like, oh my gosh, I love that event. I go every year with my family. So it feels like we are becoming more of like a permanent fixture where people recognize the flyer and the logo has been relatively the same since the beginning. And we wanted to be consistent with that for familiarity.
And one thing that we have been doing for many years that is really exciting is partnering with the local school system. And so we have students from kindergarten through high school that decorate canvas bags. And we have schools in each city of the county. So Berlin, Snow Hill, Cedar Chapel Special School, and Pocomoke are all working on these canvas bags. And the first 200 participants that come to Bay Day will receive one of those bags. So it's a great incentive to come early and stay for the day. And as you receive materials and handouts at the exhibitor table, you can put it right in that canvas bag.
This component of not a last hurrah. I don't know if that's quite the way I want to put it, but this is the week before Memorial Day. So the beginning of the end of what we think of as a quieter than normal
Yeah.
Ocean Pines. Do you think that has to do with the community building? Like, this is our thing before the summer people show up. Is there an aspect of that? Like, do people like it because it's still before the summer?
Great question. We haven't heard that as one of the factors, but I will say that one could be a contributing factor. Two, we just try to lean into the avoidance of that June, July, August. One, for heat. Two, for the insane amount of events that are held in this area. So May was kind of chosen. One, because there's a lot people can do to their own yards or community centers or parks that time of year. Two, we try to not conflict with Mother's Day weekend or Memorial Day, but we want it to be warm enough where if people did want to stay all 4 hours, they're comfortable. We're always, as we know around here, the risk of weather can shift so dramatically from morning to afternoon to rain to no rain. We had to pivot our event once and it worked beautifully. We actually held it in September, and that was because the event was rained out. And we just really thought that even if we had tried to do it with a little bit of rain, it pulled away from the intent of the event, which was bringing out the community. And we just don't want the rain to deter anybody. So we're, knock on wood, we've had beautiful luck for 5 out of those 6 years so far. And we're hoping for it the same this year. But yeah, that's why we've always stuck to May. It worked best with the calendar for Ocean Pines for the intent of the event. And there are people who come down on weekends already. So the more the merrier.
Oh, yeah. No, we spoke with the chief last week, and, you would have to go inside in January and then only come out in July to see how stark the transition is, because it is like people stay and come all the way till Thanksgiving, and then they're back in March.
Really do.
But July is insane. So that's why
insane. Yeah. We wanted to find that balance of enough people in the area, and our work that we do at Coastal Bays does expand, of course, to our visitors tier. When they're here, they're in our home. They're in this place that we do call home, and they can have impact. We want them to feel like they're informed in some way. And this event is perfect for that. So we know a lot of people come down to Ocean Pines just to visit family, come down just for a week and stay in a home on the water. And we want everybody to come to this event and feel like they just know this place a little bit better.
Excellent. And that is pretty much all I have for you, unless you have something for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
No, I think that wraps it up. We just want, I think like we've already kind of hit that idea home, is that, we want there's something there for everybody, and we want them to stay all day. So there's food available, there's drinks available. Oh, I will say Ocean Pines Kiwanis, the local Kiwanis group, they're there. I know they raise money for scholarships and different programs, and they're always one of our main food vendors, and we really love working with them. So they're here too. But anything that people think that they want to learn about local groups, about the environment. Again, we have 25 to 30 environmental exhibitors, and we say environmental, but it could be somebody, like I mentioned, like the Ocean City Art League that might work with the environment in more of an adjacent way, and they are still there at that event providing something to our community that day and figuring out how people can get involved with them. So boat rides, there's live animals. We always have live music. So we have Boogeymen. They're a very popular band right now, and we're excited to welcome them back for a second year. So we're particularly excited. There's always going to be like an upbeat band that we have, keeping people engaged in that way too.
Excellent. Well, then thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And I'm looking forward to the event. I'm hoping to go. It's going to be a game day decision for me, because if I can take a moment to brag, my daughter graduates from law school that Thursday.
You should brag. That's amazing. Well, congratulations to her. And we really, really appreciate you having us on. We hope everybody comes out to Bay Day. If you have questions or you want to volunteer, please reach out to us. And we're just so excited for this partnership with Ocean Pines that we can do this for a 7th year.
Excellent. And a link to all those things will be in the show notes. And you guys have a great rest of the spring.
Thank you.
You too. Have a great day.
You see, this is the kind of enthusiasm that it's really nice to hear, because people who care about what they do are just so much fun to talk to. And along those lines, if you have anyone that you think should be on this show, or any topic you'd like us to cover, please reach out to me. You can reach me at bytonyrusso@gmail.com. There's a link in the show notes where you can get in touch with me and let me know. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if there's something or someone you'd like me to talk to or about. Happy to do it. Finally, if you are interested in volunteering at Bay Day, I know that they would love to have you, and you can reach out to them again in the show notes or by visiting Maryland Coastal Bays. The Pines Cast has been an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer, Sarah Ash. Please subscribe wherever you're listening now and follow us wherever you follow us, and we will check in with you next time on the Pines Cast.